Check in. Crew. Voices in the dark, altitude and attitude, laughter over scars. Death on call, we ride that line together. Stories from the sky, we drag them through the weather. Yeah. Death on call, we bleed in quiet confessions. AC hearts built from chaos and aggression.
Welcome to the Death on Call podcast, episode 6. Today, the episode is sensors tracking. Today, we have two phenomenal sensor operators, former sensor operators that I got to experience my first deployment with, and then several other follow-on deployments with as well. So we'll do what we normally do. We'll read the bios, and then we'll introduce everybody, and we'll go from there. So first, we're going to start with Master Sergeant retired Tracy Reusch. Sorry, Reusch. I can't say it. I sound like an idiot. Reusch. Sorry, my apologies.
That's all right.
So I love that she kept her bio brief. Retired Master Sergeant with almost 23 years of service. Most know me as Rage. Flew for 11 years in AWACS, 12 in gunships, many deployments. Welcome to the show, Master Sergeant Tracy Reusch.
Thank you.
And then the most requested man in gunships.
The man, the myth, the legend.
He is the mythical Master Sergeant retired Jeremy TF Whitley. He's got a little bit longer bio, but I would expect nothing less. Joined in 1998, started in AWACS, progressed through instructor and evaluator. Fairly simple job. When 1 Alpha 4s merged with AC-130 sensors, I followed Dookie, Van Wormer, and some other folks to Hurlburt in 05. Stayed there for a while, lots of deployments, upgrades, etc. Got pulled to weapons school as enlisted instructor. Heavy weapons, CQB programs, joint fire school, some OGA tradecraft, and a lot of ground stuff followed. Decided to leave active duty to pursue a Green Beret. Went to Guard SFRE program, got picked up. While waiting for separation in Afghanistan, I was approached by an Army Special Missions unit. Went to selection, got picked up, got badly injured in OTC, but they kept me on as leadership for maybe 4 years. Did one short stint with DevGru downrange. Had to cross-train to a conventional desk job for the last 2 years. Met great people. Job sucked. After retirement in 18, government contracting on and off for the last 7 years as kind of a low-level fixer. Welcome to the show, Master Sergeant Jeremy Whitley.
Thanks, man.
We will refer to him as TF for today's show. All right. So we're spinning this off a little bit more, getting kind of a little heavier into the TAC crews. For those of you that don't know, sensor operators that no longer exist on gunships were enlisted. And I'm not sure, did either of y'all have commando look?
Nope.
You didn't have to? Okay. Just were able to come straight in. So before we get going there on kind of our initial questions, I want to know about getting to AWACS and the relationship, y'all's long-term friendship starting there. I want all of the dirt about young TF.
Baby Whitley.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Tell me.
I met Whitley. I was an instructor and evaluator in the 966 at AWACS at Tinker. In you came in what, 98?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was already at the schoolhouse as an evaluator when he came through training. But did I meet you when you were in training or when you were going through instructor upgrade?
No, I just gotten through instructor upgrade. It was just past September 11th. And
okay.
I decided to go through instructor upgrade and stay at the schoolhouse. And lo and behold, somebody becomes my supervisor. But Tracy, Staff Sergeant Tracy, was my supervisor. She had to put up with me and my
your
stupid stunts.
shenanigans.
And I remember distinctly referring to myself in the third person
All the time.
all the time. I was an arrogant kid. I was an arrogant kid. And I got beat over the head and shoulders for being that arrogant kid. And Tracy was there to protect me all the way through.
She does that. You know, she did that for me on the, you know, my first trip with y'all. I think we were in the same gunship class, Tracy.
We were,
Me, you, and O'Hare?
Deuce.
Or Deuce. No, it's Deuce. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I remember because we went through water survival together. Okay. So knowing nothing about flying AWACS or anything like that, how was that coming into it?
So AWACS was really easy, to be honest with you. It was a lot of memorization, a lot of really easy stuff. But like the thing with AWACS was like you just memorized like a bunch of nonsense stuff, right? Like that's where everybody got you. It was a bunch of just bullshit stuff. It was like how many screws are in the announcement panel on the top, you know, and like just procedural stuff, you know, emergency equipment and bullshit like that.
But it was in the oven.
Yeah. It was like 12-hour flights, like 12-hour sorties, right? But it was just nonstop Q&A, like all the time, right? And it was always gotcha questions, always gotcha. And, I mean, we were all pretty arrogant at that age anyway. We were all, you know, in our young 20s and everything like that. So, but it was all good fun, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, we were all pretty brutal with each other anyway. But I remember, I don't know if you remember this trip or not, Whitley, we would always go to Vegas and do like air
Red
shows or
Yeah.
we would do red flags, you know, and we would always go from the training house all the time. We would take students. And we were on this one trip. And do you remember Franco?
Yes.
So we went on this one trip. Do you know what story I'm talking about? We were on this one trip. And we had gone out, me and a couple of the other girls, and we'd gone out, and the next day we were supposed to fly back to Tinker, and a bunch of us were all hungover, as you do. And Whitley, you'd gone out with a couple of the guys or whatever, and Franco and I were playing a joke on Whitley and decided to tell Whitley, I don't know why we did, because we were dumb. We told Whitley that we had gotten married. And Whitley, being the great little brother that he was at the time, was so worried about my son at the time, right? It's like, what are you going to do about Jordan? What's going to happen to Jordan? I was like, obviously, like what? He's going to come live with us. Franco's going to be a great stepdad. He's going to be awesome. But the whole flight back, and we were doing a sortie on the way too, so it was like 10 hours. The whole flight back, we kept going with this joke, with this bit. And the whole time, Willie was he was hammering Franco this whole time. Like he was just on him the whole time, like hammering him about what it took to be a good dad. Like the whole time. And finally, Franco had enough, and he was just like, it's a joke. And Whitley was so mad at him for like a week. I don't think he talked to him for like a week after that. And it was hilarious. It was the funniest thing to me. I don't know why. I don't know why it was so hilarious to me, but like that to me was when it solidified that Whitley was in fact family. Like that was the best that he had ever acted toward me protective wise. I was like, yeah, Whitley's family now. Like he's never getting rid of me after that.
Well, I bought a hook, line, and sinker first and foremost, but more than that, I think
that was great.
Yeah, Tracy was not Tracy as you know her back then. Tracy was a little bit. She had a softer side that didn't want to stab you. Now she'll
That's
stab
not true. I've always wanted to stab people.
Yeah.
I just didn't let many people know that.
So anyhow, to fast forward a little bit, I'd been in gunships for I guess a couple of years by the time Tracy showed up, and I'm at the shop at one day like normal, get my daily can of Copenhagen, and out of a truck piles Tracy. I said, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I'm coming through training. What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "Are you ready?" Because I didn't know it. Becoming a sensor operator was not an easy process. It was rowdy. And the justification for that was like, you're the only enlisted guy really firing an offensive weapon in the military. Period. Dot. And you're there to kill, so we're not going to take it lightly. And remember when we got there, they're like, "Oh man, you're going to lose the guy to the left and right of you. One of you is going to be standing." Luckily, we all got through. Maybe that didn't come true, but the long and short of it is that coming from AWACS, we had this cake life. You could kind of teach a monkey how to do the job in 5 minutes if you want to be, truthful about it. Come to Gunships, day one all the way to the end, you were either working your way towards greatness or you were falling from grace, and there was no in between. Your name preceded you. Right. And we felt that we felt that way across the board. I think all the way through Gunships, but especially with the sensor operator community, they were hard on each other. And if they thought you weren't pulling your weight, they'll can you. You'd be gone. Yeah. Back to AWACS, J-Star, something like that. You don't get to just stay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. And our washout rate was 65, 70% at the time when I came through in 07.
Yeah.
This episode of Death on Call is brought to you in part by Danger Close Apparel, founded by a fellow AFSOC aviator and former AC-130U gunship fire control officer. Danger Close creates high-quality gear that bridges the flying and special operations worlds. Hats, shirts, patches, and more that let you wear your story with pride. Whether you're repping the gunship heritage or just showing support for the community, check them out at dangercloseapparel.com. Use promo code DEATHONCALL, one word, at checkout for 15% off your order. Danger Close Apparel, because some stories are worth wearing close to the fight. Thanks for supporting a veteran-owned business. Yeah, let's get into that. So we'll go with Jeremy first, just because it's a little bit earlier than getting in there, and then kind of talk about how maybe what if there was any differentiation for a couple years after that. So Jeremy, you hit the button to go to try out for Gunships, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. Walk me through it.
Sure. Yeah. So I was hot for orders, and I was going to probably end up going to Kadena, and I didn't want to go. Simple as that. And special ops, man, that in the war on terrorism, they led the charge, no question about it. So me kind of morphing into the guy I became that I had to find out. And AWACS are like, don't go. They hate you. You're not going to make it. I'm like, well, I'm going anyhow. Dookie was going. Worm was going. Sue Parker had left, like a year before. A couple other guys. But the long and short of it is I had to find out. So you pressed. I had orders same day, and I was out 2 months later. Landed at Hurlburt, was originally an H model guy, but they swapped me at the 11th hour. Same story as the gunners that you've talked to prior to this. Pile of pubs, go learn. That was it. I mean, just a stack of books 3 feet high, and they're like, go figure it out. And
so coming from AWACS, where it was a little more babysat,
it was,
to that, were you just like, holy shit, what did I just get myself into?
Back in the day, they had this. This checklist, long checklist that you would go through for pre-flight, and then they had these cardboard cutouts of the systems. So we would hand them off, and then we would press the cardboard cutouts and all the millions of buttons or whatever. There was things that I was screwing up consistently. I got to the point where I took that -1 and I launched it across my living room. I was pissed, and then I had to go pick it up. And it was all over the place. So I spent the next 2 hours putting all the pages back in order just so I could get everything back together to just do right ends and go through those simple things. It was rowdy. I'm not, there were points where I wasn't sure I was going to make it, to be honest with you.
I think we all went through that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going through that piece and then your first flight. What about
almost?
How much of a mess was that?
The first flight was good because it was almost like a familiarity flight. They let us do a handful of things. I want to say at the time it was just dry fires for the first couple of flights. And then we moved on a live fire, I think, after the third flight. But the whole time was coming hot and heavy. And being in the TV seat, the TV without the moon was no bueno. And so you were just looking for darker spots and different shades of black. Trying to make
explain the differentiation between TV and IR for those that haven't listened to, don't know.
Sure. So infrared's pretty straightforward. Infrared, it's not thermal, works off of emissivity, so it picks up differentiation, contrast, with like molecular friction type stuff. So call it heat, but it's not really detecting that. Whereas you can see for miles and miles, and at the time it was a long wave infrared system. Now, the TV, on the other hand, was a night vision system with a bunch of cameras in there. And anybody that's ever worn night vision knows if you don't have light, it doesn't work. So with all those mirrors in there, bouncing back off the cameras to get to your screen, it just cut it and cut it and cut it to where there was not much. But when the moon was out, you could see everything. So there was this saying that the guys used to kind of pass off, and it was like "live by the moon, die by the moon" type deal. Do you remember that? Do you remember that word or that phrase, Tracy?
Yeah.
You know, it was true at the time. At the time, it was an older system. The H models actually had a better system than we did because it was just an outright.
Yeah, because they had low light and we had all light.
Well, that's because of who held the contracts, right? So they could do more plug and play.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I want to say. Yeah. So, you know, the standard contractors for the airplane and all the avionics and stuff went to different contractors, and they couldn't develop or pull COT systems without that contract running out. So when that contract ran out, we started playing with new high-speed systems, and even weaponry later on down the line, which rolled into the J model later on.
Okay. Yeah. So, why was there a method behind why you both ended up in the TV seat to start?
We were already NCOs.
Okay.
So that was kind of the standard go for that. Does that sound right to you, Trace?
Yeah, and it's they hadn't had when I came through. So I was recruited. I wasn't. I was in GK doing NATO AWACS. I wasn't slotted to like look for, and I wasn't actually looking for going to AFSOC or anything. I was actually recruited to go to AFSOC. So I got approached by Jackie Green, and then I got called by a couple of seniors from Hurlburt, and one of the guys who ended up going through H model school was a friend of mine at the time. He was going through training. He's like, I think you'd be perfect for this job. I didn't know anything about gunships. I knew nothing about AFSOC. I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, I was actually trying to get to OSI. I'd already done interviews down in Spang. But being a single parent, I wasn't willing to do like a year remote, away from Jordan. So I was like, it's probably not. But with my sister living with me, I had to talk with her, and I was like, well, like maybe, what do you think about Hurlburt? Like I'll be deployed a lot. Like, is that something you're willing to, move with me? So a little more stability, stuff like that. And, she was on board. So I'm like, yeah, let's just give it a go, And from what I understood, I was also supposed to go to H models. And then, but when I got here, because my orders originally said H models, but it said TV. And they had told me, they're like, well, it doesn't matter whether it's IR or TV, it's just sense operator. And I was like, okay. But they're like, eventually, you know, after you check out, you'll be both. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know the difference between the two. And then they're like, well, no, now you're going to U models. And I was like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, one's supposed to be going to Canon and one's supposed to be staying here. And at the time, U models were going to Canon.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, Florida, New Mexico, whatever, you know.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And then, but come to find out that there hadn't been a TV that had checked out in over a year. Like they hadn't had a TV check out in over a year.
I remember that because there was a whole bunch of casuals at the 19th that had all washed out a TV spot, and
and they got rolled through gunner training. Yeah, so because they didn't want to lose that asset. I mean, you spend what 9 months to a year going through training. You know, that's over $1 million of training somebody. You know,
so
they didn't want to lose that, so they rolled them through, you know, gunner training or whatever. So I was like, okay, like fine.
So you get there, Tracy, your TV, and you know you're not there trying to subconsciously check a box like TF was. You know, is he good enough? You're more of, you got recruited. Did you have, I don't know, any trepidation about like, shit, I just left something where I was kind of at the pinnacle of, you know, being an AWACS and being in your career to, shit, I don't know that I really wanted to come here to begin with. I mean,
no, because, well, here's my thinking on the whole thing. So it's a little different, not to play the woman card or anything like that. I hate when people fucking do that. But like, you always learn. So like, especially when you're changing jobs, right? Whether it be changing a career field or just moving locations. So going from Tinker, I was an evaluator in the schoolhouse, right? And then I go to NATO AWACS. All of a sudden, you're down at the bottom again, right? You have to go through the schoolhouse there, no matter what. Like, you still have to go through training. So you're not automatically an instructor. You're not automatically an evaluator, right? You're down at the bottom again. You have to go through the same schoolhouse. You still have to go through all that garbage. So it's like, okay, so you kind of have to leave your ego and everything else at the door. So it was kind of like starting all over again, doing the same thing. So I kind of took that same mentality, kind of had to check myself a little bit when I came to Hurlburt, and I was like, okay, well, just keep your head down, just shut up and listen, basically, you know, and just put in the work, you know, and kind of really have to humble yourself a lot, you know, and it's hard to do sometimes, especially when you already think you know stuff, you know, you kind of really have to shut yourself up sometimes and just deal with the bullshit, to be honest. And there was a lot of bullshit coming, especially from a lot of the old heads and everything, you know, the blue suiters and everything, who are all like, well, what can you fucking do? Because there was one female who had checked out as a sensor operator, and that was Audrey. You know, she was already there. Everybody knows Audrey, you know, no shame against her or anything like that, not slamming her or anything like that. But Audrey's not a quiet person, you know. I'm not particularly loud unless I have to be. So I kind of keep my mouth shut. I kind of keep my head down unless I have to fucking say something, you know. And then I try not to be an asshole unless you're making me be an asshole about it. So, you know, I just kind of go about my business and I try to get as much information as I can before I say something, because I don't like to make a fool out of myself. So I kind of kept that same mentality about why everybody's screaming and yelling at me. That, you know, well, what do you think you can do? You think you can do better than this guy? Well, yeah, I fucking do, actually, you know, but like, I'm not going to sit there and say that, you know, to some guy who has 20 years experience, you know, but is still stuck in, you know, fucking Vietnam or whatever. But hey, I'm just going to sit here and do my business, and that's fine.
I think the air, there's a, you know, Jetty talked about it in the Gunner episode. There is a certain level of arrogance that all gunship guys carry. And
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost it's almost needed in you don't realize it, but when you're going through the schoolhouse, it is a competition. I mean, you're trying to get the hell out of there as fast as you possibly can and do it without getting a shit name at the squadron.
Yeah.
And so I just, for me,
well, you have to weigh your arrogance against competence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got my shit kicked in real
you
hard.
Have to show that you're competent, and also that you're able to hold your own. But you can't be
right.
you can't sway more one side than the other. You have to have that balance.
Yeah,
yeah,
you do, and it's and I think that's why there's been so many historical missions, because we, as a crew, we're comfortable and confident in knowing what the capabilities are, and that it doesn't matter what anybody was doing the night before. When those props start turning and it's time to hit those consent buttons, we know that everybody's going to do the job, and they're going to do it well. Okay, so y'all push through the schoolhouse, and this kind of be the last thing we'll talk about the schoolhouse, but in particular, what was the hardest thing to learn about being a sensor operator? What was your hardest thing, either of you? Anything that didn't stick?
Okay, shooting is for one thing. Every bird was a little bit different. Every fire control system acted a little bit different. Every gun had different characteristics. The expectation at a cold bore shot is going to be straight down the middle. It very rarely ever happened. The minute you think you can shoot, you're going to have a bad night, and you wouldn't be able to hit the broadside of a barn. And it could be a myriad of things, but more often than not, it's operator error. There was a guy, Rich Barton. He was my instructor. Do you remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Either one of you?
I was in 03 with him too.
Yeah, Rich looked like Egon off of Ghostbusters. And he snored like a 125cc hot saw going through lumber. But Rich was so good, other than setting a certain part of Iraq on fire. He kept two different offsets for depending on what side of the orbit he was shooting from. He could shoot. That guy could shoot, and he did it consistently. And I tried to do what he did, and I was only partially successful, but it was the shooting for me.
Yeah. What about you, Tracy? It's okay if you don't have anything at the moment.
Everything came easy for Tracy.
God, it was so easy.
Excellent.
Oh, everything was fucking easy as hell. Oh, my first shot out of the plane, I fucking blew right through the hood of a truck on the range. It was amazing. Like, that's a true story. That is a true story. Ask Brad Fuller.
That's awesome.
The range truck never forgave you. Softly close, Tracy.
First danger close. It was amazing. Oh man. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything.
All right. So Jeremy, you check. How quick were you out the door?
Within a few weeks. I was out there quick. It was my first trip.
Tell me about it.
Iraq proper. Okay. Well, one, the hazing is real.
Yes.
I earned every bit of that hazing.
Yeah, I
remember, was it Jim Bloom walking up to me while I was on plans. She's like, "Why are you so salty? This is your first trip." And I turned to her like an arrogant turd, and I said, "This ain't my first rodeo." If she hears this, she'll remember that. And then Tracy Onifer yelling at me, and Brett DeAngelis telling Kevin Blue and myself that we better un-F this quick, or he's going to yank us out of the seat. We were probably wasn't the best combination for that first trip, and I was a soup sandwich. I got better,
Nice.
okay? But yeah, I was bad. Thank God we didn't kill anybody that trip, because it would have probably gone horribly wrong. It was a pretty slow trip, but yeah, I sucked.
What about that first shot? That first shot that rang out in anger for you?
Oh, well, he had a machine gun, and I made him pay.
Nice.
And I stayed up all night wondering, oh, what am I doing a bad thing or not? And then pretty soon after that, I realized this is the hustle. You're not put there. You're put there for a reason. So after that, it became super easy to the point where I was extremely calm about taking a lot of lives. But the first shot, first kill, I stayed up all night thinking about it. I did. After that, you lose one dude on your side, all of a sudden the gloves come off. You know what I mean? And that's the gist of it. How about you, Trace?
I actually never lost a moment's sleep over any
You're
of
so
them.
hardcore.
It's not hardcore, actually.
No.
Because before I even came to Gunships, I was told multiple times, you're gonna kill a lot of people. And I was like, I have no problem with that. Yeah. Because I knew what type of people we would be killing.
Right.
And the type of missions that we're doing, the people that we're protecting, all that stuff. Like, we know what we're doing. We know the people we're protecting, whether we're just watching them sleep for 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like, those are our people down there. Right. Those are our guys we're protecting. Do I care? Not really. Does that make me a bad person? Probably, but God forgives me. So
yeah.
I mean, I've prayed about it, and like I came to peace with that a long time ago, even before I fired my first shot. You were both there during that time, so
sit next to you.
I have no problem with it. It doesn't bother me. I don't lose any sleep over it. I don't really think about it now. I mean, and when I do reflect on it, does it bother me? Not really,
Right. Okay, so we
like Willie, you can laugh all you want, but I mean,
she was a hammer, man. She was a hammer. We killed like 10 dudes that night.
Yeah, we did. 11.
Yeah.
It was 11.
Yeah, 11, excuse me.
I mean, if you're going to be accurate, be accurate.
So, okay. So, Jeremy, you had done a couple rotations to Iraq before Tracy and our first one where we went to Afghanistan. We were like the second U model crew, I guess, going back into Afghanistan.
Right.
So what was any major differences there in those wars?
Yeah. ROE was a lot tighter in Iraq. They were so concerned about collateral damage that, I mean, in a lot of ways, and I think the whole team, can identify with this. Our hands were somewhat tied. And it pissed a lot of our ground teams off. But I'll tell you, Afghanistan, totally different animal. Wild West.
If it moves after dark.
Yeah, you get, if you're you're gonna FAFO, and they do. Afghanistan, it was entirely different. You hear stories of the guys from CAG and whatnot talking about their time in Iraq was a lot more aggressive and stuff like that. It was more dangerous. From what I could tell in Iraq, those guys would spray and pray. They'd hold their machine guns, just one guy holding a belt full of ammo, and the other guy just spraying over the top of a wall, shaking. He ain't hitting nothing. He's not even looking over the wall. He's just spraying. And they would, and for some reason, and tell me if I'm wrong, why would they always load tracers? It was like, oh, here I am.
Yeah.
They love using tracers. I don't know why.
Maybe it's all they had.
Yeah, they had no idea it was even in there, probably. They don't read English or Russian or whatever. Okay, so we're on that first trip, and I mean, I knew absolutely nothing. It was just a weird dynamic because I only knew Tracy and you a little bit, and Dan Hunter, and that was
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
Everybody else on the crew.
I completely
were-
forgot he was on that crew.
I've been trying to find
Alive.
him for like 4 or 5 months. I cannot find that dude anywhere.
I saw him in Afghanistan when I was with Iraq. I saw him in Iraq when I was with L3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't with
Years ago.
Gunships. He took off to go do something else.
Yeah,
Is
he
he
was
contracted?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last I'd heard he had opened up like a laser shop or something in Georgia and was like making stuff, or maybe that was his wife. I don't know. But okay, so we're over there, and I'll never forget, and I've said it multiple times through all these episodes. I'm so wired. I'm wired so tight, and I just remember like Flanagan straight up saying, "We're not going to do anything. We're not going to kill anybody. We're not even going to shoot other than tweaking."
Yeah.
And that like first night,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the damn
Yeah, dude.
Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
wanna
was
hear
such an
the story about
eventful
that?
Yes,
trip.
I do. Tell
my
me the
God.
story because this is great.
There's so much involved in the Rocket Man of Bagram. Okay.
So much.
So much. So much, in fact, that I hear about my stunts and books and YouTubes. Okay. So hear me out. All right. So we're going just outside the wire. I'm not paying
orbit,
attention.
like an orbit right over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was like a half to the X, and they put in, and this is out there in the open source, like you can find out about this on YouTube. And so they half in, they unasked the bird.
Explain a half. Because
A helo assault force. They'd bring the helos in real close to the target building.
Gotcha.
Anyhow, so 3 squirters on that place, and 2 go one direction, and this really, really fat Afghani dude, the fattest Afghani guy I've ever seen. Like, he was easily 250, right? He's bear crawling through weeds that are double head high, and all I could see are the weeds.
Oh my God.
So they clear us on him, and I start laying in procs with a 105, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I probably put 5 in the weeds. The weeds stop parting. Dust is flying everywhere. They say, "Do you got them?" I said, "I think so. I can't be sure." So all the SEALs get up on the line and they start assaulting through. And then all of a sudden, I see 2 muzzle flashes. I'm like, "Oh my God, I didn't get him." Well, this guy that did these muzzle flash, JTAX calls back up on the radio, said he stepped on the dude's chest, and it scared him, and he started firing into him on the ground. So I guess I'd taken the back of his head off. But that guy was just on a Sean Ryan show. Matt Bissonette wrote about it in his book, and then didn't tell the story right. Because when I read the book, I was like, "Yo, dude, that target was quiet as a church mouse."
Right.
You know, if I could talk to him, be like, the only people shooting there were me and you, pal. Because you made it seem like there was, a DFP sitting up on a hillside. I didn't see, I don't recall one angry shot fired besides me and this SEAL. So to read about it in a book that caught the Navy's attention and pissed them all off, the story ain't right, but now it's right because I told you.
Yeah.
that was a pretty quiet target. But I didn't understand the depth of the issue. It's just another dead body, right? Well, I'm in the gym about 2 hours after we land, and Brad O'Neill comes to me with the PDA photos. And he's like, "Hey, the guys just wanted me to tell you, great job, Whitley." And I'm looking at it, and I was like, okay. I didn't think anything of it until years later I read a book, and evidently it was somebody important.
I remember that was the first kill that I'd ever, been a part of the crew on. Yeah. And I actually have the CBs cut the bottom of the round off, and I have it on my bar, and I inscribed the date on it, the Rocket Man on there.
Oh man.
And I remember I saw the footage as well, and I was like, the way you explained it was so perfect. You're like, it was like, you ever seen one of those core cutaways of like the globe, and you see all of the different layers? And I was, and you kept trying to tell me it was a pie chart, and I'm like, it's not a pie chart. You're like, it's kind of a pie chart. I mean, it looked like his pie was gone, and I was like, damn. And then I saw it and I was like, yeah, I guess it is a
Oh,
pie chart,
man.
you know, and whatever. But I thought that was just killer at that point. Okay. So
Yeah.
we're on that trip. How many in was it until we shot a lot that trip? Like
We did. Yeah.
That was
We shot a lot
probably
that
one of my
trip.
top 2 heaviest trips. And that particular one that you're talking about, I vividly recall we shot like 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
And
did.
that was
Yeah.
just the tip.
And we only had 2 guns because we had a +4 bird out there.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we didn't have the 25, so we had floor loaded 40 down on there and I thought that was interesting as hell. But so I don't remember how many it was in before. Tracy, you got your first. How many
it wasn't
missions
that far in.
Okay.
4 missions.
I'm trying to.
Less than that. 3.
Less than that. I think it was 3 because it was during.
There was one night it was too dark to shoot. Then you got a little bit of light and you could go to work.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah.
Oh, I remember. I remember because Flanagan was like, I didn't clear you on that after we were already hot and I got cleared by Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Man.
Love
and
that.
I was like, hey man, I'm sorry, pilot supersedes nav, so like I don't know what to tell you.
So since we're in that ballpark and we're talking about pilots overriding people, let's jump kind of a little bit further into that deployment, that tick that we got called into with the French.
Oh, okay.
And tell me from the booth. I mean, I've heard different pieces of the story, but you know, I didn't have y'all's local or comms, but I do very vividly recall the aircraft commander, Major Jeff Graham, and the fire control officer very much having it out over some nomenclature differentiation and who was actually in charge.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So that was a mission we got nothing more than cords and a freak on. We had to blow out the door, if I remember right. We get out there, and immediately Tracy and I find an APC that's flipped over on its back. And then I'm starting to see casualties everywhere and guys just on the low ground. Perfect ambush position. French got their ass kicked. What was it, 40 casualties they took? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
It was a lot.
It was heavy.
Yeah. So add anything you want to here, Tracy, but the long and short is we check in with them. Of course, they're not really good on English, and they think
they're not really good at comms.
Are you a boat?
Well, it was difficult for them to. First, they're stressed as hell, right? I mean, they just lost a shit ton of guys,
and they don't know where all the guys are. They're spread out.
They don't know where everybody's at. They don't know who's alive. They don't know what's going on, and some people aren't good with accents, right? So. Like it's hard and it's comms, right? So people are hard enough to understand when you're speaking perfect English anyway. So communication's terrible.
It's true. And they thought we were a CSAR asset, like birds coming in to pick them up.
Helicopter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't know what AC-130 was. So yeah.
And I remember them Flanagan spelling it out what we were to them.
Yeah,
and they still
like
really
trying to do 9 lines and those.
Yep.
Okay.
So after that, Tracy set up defensively on those guys to cover down on them to make sure nothing bad happened. I went out on the hunt with my sensor, and I found 4 Taliban carrying a body up a hill, and I knew it wasn't our guys because just the way they walk, Anyhow.
This episode of Death on Call is powered in part by ROE Graphics and Apparel, Rules of Engagement Graphics, run by Gunship guys. They crank out killer vinyl decals, hood graphics, perforated window wraps, full vehicle treatments, cornhole board wraps, banners, custom signs, shirts, and patriotic military-themed designs that scream pride and durability. Think distressed American flags. Thin line variants, gun motifs, branch-specific gear, and plenty of AC-130 gunship artwork, from J-model orbits to U-model tail shots and 105 and 40 mic rounds. Perfect for repping that Spectre, spooky Ghost Rider heritage on the road, at home, or on the tailgate. Built tough in Florida for the warriors who live it. Gear up at roe-graphics.com. use promo code DOC15, one word, at checkout for 15% off your order. ROE Graphics, because your setup deserves rules of engagement that demand attention and respect. Big thanks to another Gunship Connected crew supporting the fight. Appreciate you all tuning in and supporting these brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long op. It went on for a long time, but what was the argument about SOTAC versus JTAC, something like that?
So SOTAC has the authority, heck, even a JFO does, to clear a gunship. They were concerned about a SOTAC not having the authority to clear us when that fight started. And I want to say it got cleared up pretty quickly, because when the Army put on their SOTAC program for their Special Forces guys, it was very, very similar to the JTAC program. The Army just went self-contained with that.
So was that just not really publicly known to our guys? Is that what the issue was?
I knew,
because it went on for a while. The argument on who
I don't think it was the issue of it not being publicly known. I think it was the issue of certain people not knowing the correct procedures.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just,
without calling out anybody, I think it's just a matter of people not having correct information and not being properly informed like they should have been.
Right. Okay. Well, I just was curious about it because, when you're 18 years out of it, 15, 18 years away from it, start to kind of ask some questions about certain things you remember differently. Okay. So that was it was interesting. So I remember seeing it in the Stars and Stripes like 2 or 3 days later. There was an article, and I have it clipped out, saved somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was, I guess, the level of how heavy that mission was, I wasn't able to comprehend it. I just knew that the guys needed us. It was like your shirt says, Tracy, it was gunship freestyle. Show up to these frequency or to these lat longs.
That's right.
And
all side frequency grid, baby.
Yeah. And you just get after it. Wow. Okay. So that happens. Tell me about some more memorable stories from that, going to Afghanistan first, because there was a lot of shenanigans happening. There was a lot of us. We were the only U's there. We had a crew and a half, and then you had multiple Spectres. Because that was, so we kind of got the shit into the sandwich most of the time with them, just because that was their home base. And
well, I lived with them. Y'all were off in your own little tent or whatever. I was the one staying in the bee huts with all of them. I was by myself. Y'all left me to fend for myself.
Well, later on, it was co-ed dormitories. Yeah, that happened. You want to hear about another mission that you were on that you probably forgot about? And I got to tell the story.
Are you going to talk about it?
I am. I've got to tell it.
Yeah. Okay. I was waiting for you to bring it up.
I was going to ask about it. I've got it written down.
Yeah. So it goes something like this. We get a call from an ODA. We're out and about doing our thing. And there's like 4 or 5 dudes walking to like a set of tents. Well, it's just by a power line cut, and that power line is the only power supply running in a cobble. Okay, there's 3 high tension lines. So I'm shooting away from the power lines.
We were warned on over the radio or in person.
So what I never said anything about to the pilot, to the crew, or nothing, is I noticed that one of the dudes had gone into a dugout spot. Those towers sit on concrete boulder type things, right? He had dug out like a DFP in there, and I was trying to get him. Well, FOCO decided he was going to use a prox fuse. So it's going to pick up above the closest thing it picks up, it's going to explode. I'm trying to fit this prox fuse Prox fuse 105 into the ground and splashed some frag up into him. Long about the time I let that round fly, as I'm hitting, I hear Jeff Grant pop up, "Don't hit the power lines." And I kid you not, it caught the power lines. Same round, I cut 2 of the 3. And he goes, "Cobble's dark."
Yeah, I remember looking out the bubble, and it just goes boom.
Yeah, I cut the power lines, put everybody out of electricity for like 5 days. But I did kill that guy, but it was.
How would you know?
Along with the power.
You could have just hid there for like days.
Sure
You don't
did.
even know if you killed that guy.
I did.
Well, he wasn't going back because the disco was closed with no power. So
yeah. All I could say was whoops. That's all I could get out. But nobody ever said a word about it after the fact. We just acted like nothing happened and we went home.
U.S. government got a massive bill for new transmission lines.
Yes,
going
they
to the
did. And some idiot did it, and you're on a podcast with them.
I love it. Yeah, that was. Well, I mean, you were trying to thread a needle there and do what you had to do, and it was just collateral. It is what it is.
Yep. I'm not the first person to do something like that, and I certainly wasn't the last.
So, do y'all remember what?
I said I popped a guy's head off once with a 40, Mike. I did a video too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was in the middle of a field. He had an RPG, and so we were actually passing by on a mission on our way from Kandahar, and we were taking over for a Spectre that was low on gas. They were bingo. So they're like, "Hey, can you guys take care of this guy real quick?" And we're like, "Yeah." So we did like a couple orbits. Got the 40 mic, and they were like, "Okay, like you're cleared hot on," and we're like, "Okay." Did like my first tweak shot, and then like I think it was the third shot, and just it literally popped the guy's head like right off. And then they're like, "Okay," like there was nobody around the guy because they had a team coming in, and then just popped the guy's head off, and then cleared the area, and then like went off, did our mission, and then came back 4 hours later, and they're like, "Hey, we need you guys to clear off this field, make sure that it's still good." And we're like, "Okay," and cleared it off, and like got video of the guy's buddies like dragging him out, and they had his head underneath his arm.
Oh, no.
I know it's not funny, but it's pretty hilarious. And they had his head under his arm, and they were just dragging his body out. I was like, "Man, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen." His head just went like a cartoon.
Yep.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't do that. I've never done that. That's a pretty good shot.
It was a pretty good shot. Yeah.
I already know how this question's going to go, but I have to ask it for posterity's sake. Let's talk about the night that we almost died.
Wait, which one?
Yeah,
need more
right.
Clarity on this.
Okay, let's talk about when I learned to listen to the radios better. And
when you thought we were getting shot at, and it was a bip.
I had no idea.
Go ahead, tell the story, Pelt. Come clean on this.
I've come clean. I screwed it up. I think I talked about it in episode.
No, it's hilarious. You're not the first or last to do it. I mean, come on.
So, as being my first trip, I couldn't handle the radios. Too much was happening, and I think that
there was a lot
night
happening.
We rolled in, and the JTEC says, "You're cleared hot on the east," and you're like, "What?" And he's like, "If it moves in the east, kill it." And we went to work. I think the end of that night, it was 22 EKIA, 5 buildings, 3 trucks, and a dog.
I remember the dog.
Because I remember it was always about the dog.
Me.
Yes.
Same. I hated that. Yeah. That was the worst.
So we're doing work, and I guess, like I said, I wasn't in there. I had no screen, but I guess they had flipped a bongo, and it was loaded down with RPGs and all kind of other shit in it. And I didn't hear it to this day. Have no recollection. You told me after the fact, but you said it was so fast and we come around the orbit, and all of a sudden this thing just explodes.
Yes.
And these like 2 RPGs, I guess, however they were positioned, wherever in the truck, come screaming at the plane.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I'd ever seen anything like real. And because I missed whatever quick comms, you hear me, flares, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm punching as fast as I can, and the whole plane just silent.
Yep.
And I was like,
Yeah.
flares away. And I ended up, it freaked me out so much, I ended up having an anxiety attack on the plane. And you came to me afterwards as I'm taking an IV from one of the soft me's, and you're like, I've never puckered that hard in my life. And because I guess I'd been silent most of the trip, but you know, y'all rode my ass out about it for the rest of that trip, and it is what it is.
So yeah, there's a little bit more of the story. Every bit of that story you told was true, and they didn't tell us that they had loaded it with C4 either until
they didn't say that they had rigged it.
Yeah, so we put a few rounds into it trying to get
because we were supposed to blow it. We were.
Yeah, and we couldn't get the secondaries that we were looking for. Yeah, and we hit it. I mean, right dead on. Anyhow, they told us as we were we switched our minds off that we were going to do something else mentally, and then boom, you said that, and I turned to Tracy. I said, "Here we go. Like we're just gonna die."
Yeah, and I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "All right, like this is gonna happen." Like, and like Willie and I were on the same fucking page. We're like, "Well, this is fucking it, I guess." Like. Here we go.
I should have been better about it.
Fun.
You know, that was actually not the first time somebody tried to kill me that trip. Brad O'Neill put a 40 millimeter grenade across me.
I remember this.
He almost killed me.
When
was when we were going out dumping ammo with one of the teams, right? That had
special tactics.
End of fiscal year, and they had to get rid of a bunch of stuff.
We were doing a spendex. And I'm just prone on a 249, just letting it rip, right? Just a paper, nothing special. We were just off base. And all of a sudden, I see a grenade hit the ground in front of me before it could arm, because it's like a 10-meter arming or something like that. It's got to spin several revolutions before it arms. That thing hit the ground right in front of me and bounced off and went the other direction. I turn and look left. Brad O'Neill is looking at me with this big shit-eating grin on his face. I couldn't believe he almost killed me, and he was smiling. But that's not the first officer that's tried to kill me, because John Harrington almost shot me at the range one day.
What is with people trying to kill you?
I knew my days were numbered. I had to get out of the business.
Oh my God.
It was just a matter of time.
Jeez. I mean, I've had pilots try to kill me left and right on almost every single rotation. Almost. Not all of them. Almost.
I thought that was a cool first trip. You remember we used to go down to the gun deck and, you know, down in the dark alley right there.
Yep.
Oh, you mean Rape Alley? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but you know,
you can say it.
Yeah,
it's what it's called.
Yeah, I know. And you know, we play Gunner Blackjack and whatever, and I remember all kind of shit just popping off. Like, what's going on? I mean, I think we were waiting on a trigger to be met or something to go, and it was when they jumped the fence in the back, and it was the Brits back there, and they're like out there in like their underwear, smoking cigarettes and drinking tea, and they just, I don't remember how it went down, but it was like the tower guys didn't see it or didn't react, and they jumped the back of that fence.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's happened so many trips for me. That's happened at least 4 times for me every time I've been at Bagram.
Yeah.
I was there for one of them. Didn't see anything. It happened to Kandahar too.
I've been there for at least 3 of them at Bath. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. It's because there's a field butter right up against the Hescos, man.
Yeah.
And at that time, they would just lob grenades over the top, just trying to get what they could.
Yeah.
Y'all, I remember there was one night we went to the plane for something. Okay. So we were there when UAE put their 130 at the end of the runway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was any truth to it, but the story Dan Hunter told me was that they smoke on their airplanes and the flight deck had filled up and they couldn't see, and they ended up running it off the runway. But like 2 days later, they had a brand new, highly waxed, like 130 replacing it.
That's that oil money, brother.
Right.
Then there was something else that happened. I want to say they had like emailed our commander, got told to keep his sweaties away from the plane. And it was like a whole deal because we were helping them unload washing machines one day when we were out there pre-flighting.
Oh.
And like one of their crown princes or whatever was like their, I don't know, squadron commander or whatnot. And he got all butthurt about, because I guess American enlisted versus everybody else's indentured servants.
There may be some truth to that. That or something like
that. That's when a certain crew member got him hooked on gummy bears.
Ah.
Yeah, they loved them. He would
Yeah,
bring them bags.
God.
Yeah, they'll like
Don't Google what they're made out of.
Yeah. So that was we did some cool stuff, and then come back home, and then you rotate right back out again. And I don't know. For the what's some of your top sensor operator stories and deployments, things that you'll always remember?
We covered a lot of them.
Oh, I got called a camp whore once.
You did
That's
what?
Nice.
I got called a camp whore. Well, implied camp whore.
Do you remember when it was that trip? Do you remember my? But you're not, Tracy. Sorry.
Obviously.
You're not. No, I'm not even going to answer to that.
Yeah, no, dignified.
No, let me tell this. Let me tell the story. It's actually pretty funny. So, do you guys remember when we first started going down to Kandahar? It was around 2010 when we were going from Bath down to Kandahar for like a week, right? We were testing out the location or whatever. We were trying to like branch down. Yeah. So we were staying on Camp Brown, which is an Army camp.
Oh yeah.
Right. And we were staying in kind of like these shitty little like rooms that were on Camp Brown. And it was like 2-2 room. It was like during, so super hot. There was no AC, it was during the summer. And I was rooming with Ashley, and like you could barely sleep because they were doing construction during the day. Right. And there were no facilities for women. And it was me and Ashley. We were on Mongo's crew. It was me and Ashley were the only females, and we didn't have a bathroom. So we had to use like a supply closet that happened to have like a shower in it, right? Mm-hmm. And Mongo was supposed to like stand outside and guard it for us, right? So we were kind of waiting for him. We had our shower caddies and stuff with us, and we were kind of standing outside in this pathway, and we were waiting for him, and we were just kind of standing around talking. And some sergeant major comes up, right? Big bad sergeant major, right? And like Ashley and I was kind of standing there. We just woken up. It was, dusk, and we're just kind of standing there talking. And he comes up and he's like, "Can I help you, ladies?" And we're just kind of looking at him like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Right? Obviously, we just woken up. We're already cranky, right? We're on day like 5 of this 9-day trip, right? Almost zero sleep, having to take Ambien every night or every day because we can't sleep because all this construction happening right outside the door. Cranky as hell. And we're like, no. Go back to talking to each other. Still waiting on Mongo. And he's like, who are you guys? Who are you with? Who are you ladies with? Right? And he says like real condescending, right?
Yeah.
And we're just looking at him. We're like, what? Like we're not even fully awake, not understanding the situation. Like we have no idea what the hell's happening right now. We're just looking at each other like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And we're like, what? And he's like, why are you here? And we're just like, we don't understand like what's happening. We're like, we're with the gunships. And he's like, now he's not understanding. He's like, what do you mean? And we're just looking at him like, what do you mean? Like, we're with, so and so, and he's like, I don't, and he's kind of looking at it. He's like, well, you're not allowed to be here, and we're just like, what do you mean we're not allowed to be here? Like, we're staying right here. And he's like, you're not allowed. And we're just like, what is he talking about? Like, we're just not understanding what's happening. And I'm kind of looking at Ashley like, this is like, you need to start playing your captain card here, like, and she's not picking up what I'm putting down because she's not awake yet either, right? And I'm just like, and then Mongo comes up, right? And he's like, you know how Mongo is. He's like, what's going on here? Like his voice gets all deep and everything,
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on here? And Sergeant Major's like, oh, I'm just wondering, who you guys are with. And he like starts spouting off all this stuff. And he's like, we're here, with the gunship contingent, blah, 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 like all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, sorry to bother you, and blah, blah, blah. And Mongo just kind of looks and he's like, kind of smirks a little bit. And he's like, come on, like we go and shower and everything. We get back and we're doing the intel brief. And the intel officer is like, we tell her about like all the stuff that happened. She's like, oh, you guys are camp whores. And we're like, what the fuck is that? Like, oh, we thought you were barracks buddies or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, that is the furthest thing from our minds. Like, it didn't even cross our minds that that's what was happening. Because we're like, what in the world? Like, why would that be? First off, how is that even a thing?
Sergeant Major's looking to holler. I don't know where the disconnect is.
Like, first off with your hollows, come on. Secondly, I'm just like, what in the world? Like, that was the furthest thing from our mind. Like, we didn't even register that would be a thing. But I'm just like, oh my God. Like, come on, man.
So I'll caveat your Sergeant Major story. So there was
Sergeant Majors be Sergeant Majoring.
In our chicken coop that night, or that trip, the NCOIC, Dan Hunter, had to implement a policy on sleep medication because
oh God,
a certain aspect, a certain crew member.
I already know this story.
There's so many. Don't even. Yeah. We're not. You can tell them all. I don't care. I'm not allowed to take Ambien. I disconnect common sense. My brain turns off, and I am on autopilot. And I'll go to sleep and then wake up. I can't take it.
Somewhere. So my PC crashed after that. I made everybody photos, and nobody seems to have the disc or photos anymore. But there is a picture.
I have it somewhere.
Okay, well, I'm glad you do, because I need that definitely. But there was nobody sleeping in that like middle bunk, and so we turned it into like our little morale room. And Jeremy's sitting there with no shirt, his spitter, and the TV's not even on, and he's staring at it. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he is not on this earth. His body's there, and it's just pushing on, but his mind is, and he looks at me, and he's like, he just goes back to it. Like, I think you growled at him. Yeah. And so this kept happening with different crew members, but mainly Jeremy, because they would give us like 3 Ambien a day or something to that effect.
This Ambien. It took an act of God for me to get anything downrange.
This was that first trip. They'd give us.
Yeah, for real.
Whatever. I don't remember how many it was, but it was like several. And it just became.
Oh, y'all. It took an act of God for me to even get like freaking Motrin, y'all. Like, screw you guys.
So I don't know what I did. I took one of the other ones. It wasn't Ambien, but
the Restorol?
I took something, and I hadn't taken it. I mean, I guess I ground tested it somewhere, but I don't remember. And I woke up at Jacoby Hall, and with some sergeant major poking the shit out of me in my chest, and all I have on is underwear, no shoes, nothing. And I'm like crashed out upstairs, like they had like a little book room library, like one of like this, and he's like, what are you doing here? Go to your room. And I was like, I am in my fucking room. And he's like, soldier, I'm not going to tell you again. And I was like, I'm not a soldier. I'm an airman. And like, all of a sudden he like, I don't know how he did it, but I guess sergeant majors have this skill. He grabbed my chest muscle and just like picked me up by it. And he was like, who do you belong to? And I was like, who are you? And he just looks at me, and I had a whole bunch. I don't know what I did. I had a whole bunch of the Monopoly money. There was the Afghani money, the dinars or whatever. I was like red and purple and green and pink and whatever. And I don't know. And so like I have to like stumble across those rocks from Jacoby Hall back to the chicken coop. And it's the middle of the day, hot as hell. And I lay back in my bed, and we get up like 2 hours later to go, flying off or pre-flight or whatever it was. And I go to like take my doxy or whatever, and it's all gone. Like bottles are MIA. So the running joke that Dan, I think, told me was that I had gotten tore up on sleep medicine, stumbled or got a ride down to the discotheque, and was slinging doxy like it was ecstasy. And but I had a whole lot of firsts that trip. I got thrown on TCN duty after like one of our ops one day. I had to go monitor them, and so they took me off the crew and put me on pre-flights. Yeah, and that just sucked by itself. But we're driving.
I had to do TCN duty in Saudi.
Well, they didn't almost kill you. This was the first time I ever felt like death was.
You don't know that.
Me. They may have. Let me rephrase that. My apologies. But there was consequences for this. So we were in like a little shitty TCN truck, and we're driving around the departure end of Bagram, and it's still that minefield right there. Yeah. And so it's like me, the interpreter, remember his name this day, a T, and then the driver, and then the whole bunch of dudes in the back that are touching themselves, looking at Maxims that they were taking out of the trash and trying to steal people's shoes and stuff like that. And old boy veers off the road into the barbed wire, and like we're like 15 feet away from like mines. And I pulled my pistol, and I was like, stop the truck, stop the truck. And I made them all get in the back, and I drove back. And then when I got back, I had to go talk to the camp commandant, that Swick Bubba or whatever. Yeah. And he took my pistol from me, and it took Brad O'Neill going and getting it back because he chewed my ass, ripped me up one side down the other. It was Brad, Dan Hunter, and maybe Jeff. And they went back there, and they were like, did you disarm my airman? And he was like, oh, he's a danger. Everybody's like, first off, this is what happened. And you can see down the side of the truck, there's all this barbed wire, like just damage from it just ripping into it. Yeah, dude I thought he was trying to kill us all driving to a minefield. I don't know. He's like, my hand, it slipped. And I was like,
not all. No.
Yeah, right.
I'll take things that didn't happen for $400. A slip. Okay.
Yeah, it took everything I had. Like, I was like, the truck is, once we stopped, and then I never thought he was going to take my pistol from me. And it only lasted like 12 hours, but then they went and got it back, and they were not happy when they were like, where's your sidearm? Because, we could wear shoulder rigs then. Yeah. And until, who was it? What multiple star was in line over at Dragon? And somebody had their shoulder holster pointed at him, and that ended the shoulder holsters.
Yeah, it did end the shoulder holsters. And at the time, he couldn't get it in chow hall without a weapon anyhow.
Yeah.
Mine got stolen in Iraq.
Really?
My shoulder holster. Yeah.
Man, it's always like everybody right before I got anywhere, it was so much better. And then you get there, and things just start gradually changing more and more. Like when y'all smuggled me into Alpha because I'd forgot my DOS, and like we're in the Red Dragon van, and everybody's feet are on top of me. And I'm like tucked in, but like 4 gunners, and like Cosmo made sure to put all his weight on me down there, and like I had bags on top of me to get me back in there. It was great. Okay, so we've covered deployment stuff and sensor life, but are you happy? Were you happy looking back at being a sensor operator? That like you feel like that was the pinnacle of GWOT for the enlisted air crew?
Dude, I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. I loved it. I loved everything about being a sense operator.
Did you agree with like Belden's statement of it was like 10% great times, 90% bullshit?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I think, there's a lot of bullshit that you got to put up with for sure, but that's any place, You know, I
Right.
think that any job, any career, shoot, have this life. You know, it's what you make of it.
Right.
The people you surround yourself with. It's the attitude that you have. It's, I mean, you got to put up with a lot of garbage in anything that you do. But I mean, for me, like I loved being an instructor. I loved being an evaluator. You know, I liked teaching new kids coming in. You know, I liked hanging out with the old, you know, the old heads who were there. You know, I liked hearing their stories. I liked getting that wisdom from them, and I liked imparting wisdom of my own. But like,
Yeah.
I liked hanging out with my friends more. You know, I mean, most of the time it was just a good time. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to put up with some bullshit, but so what? You got to do that anyway, no matter where you go. So you might as well do it in a job that you believe in a mission you believe in, and something that you enjoy doing and that you're good at. You know, and like I was good at my job. You know, and I
Yeah.
take pride in that. Like I thought I was really good at my job. So like I enjoyed it. I spent a lot of years doing this job, you know, and I don't regret a single thing that I did, you know. And even after I retired, you know, and went on to do contracting for a little bit, and then what I'm doing now, you know, I've lived so many lives, you know,
Yeah.
throughout my life now, but like I don't regret anything. I always say, even now, I say that gunships it was the best career that I've ever had,
Right.
and I still believe it. You know, I mean, shoot, I'm still friends with you guys. Shit, you know, like I'm still friends. I still hang out when, you know, guys come to the truck all the time. When they come to the food truck, you know, I still see all the gunship guys, and I
Yeah.
love it. You know, I see guys, I see JTACs who come up to the truck now, and they see the license plate on my truck, and they're like, "Oh, you were in gunships," you know. And I have my veteran sticker up, and they talk to me about it. You know, I connect that way, and I freaking love it. You know, and I love connecting with the community that way. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I feel like being a part of gunships and being a part of this community is something special. I mean, even in AWACS, you don't really have that. You know, like I still have friends from AWACS, sure, but it's not as close a community as gunships is. And
Right.
it could be because of things like this, you know, like the war stories and deploying and stuff. Yeah, I deployed in AWACS, but it's not the same as
Right.
almost dying, you know. It's not the same as having the tight brotherhood or sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's not as tight
Yeah.
as it is in gunships.
Yeah. The fraternity is way different.
It is 100%. I mean, and we're all still so close. I mean, we can go years without talking to each other, you
And pick
know,
up right where it left off.
right where it left off, you know. And I still think of all y'all as family, some more than others, some as wayward cousins, some as step siblings, you know, and it's fine. It's nothing wrong with that, you know. But
Right.
like, I mean, Whitley knows if he calls me and he needs something, I will drop anything and be there at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
You know, I will go. And I know if you need something, I'll come to you. You know, it's just the way that we are. It's the way we are a
Right.
family. And that's why it's still the best job I ever had. It's
Yeah.
not the job so much as the people, you know? That's why I love it.
I don't remember if you were there, but I know Jeremy was. You may have been. Did you go to Houston with us?
I did.
Okay, yeah. That was a shit show in itself.
I loved it. Dude, that
Oh,
was
I
the
thought it
best
was-
training that I ever did was in Houston.
Man, they freaked out when like we're orbiting up there.
That was
and, like,
awesome. That
calling
was the best
FAA and-
crossover training that we've ever done.
You remember like there was like Debo on his bicycle. They kept cruising like across like and the
Dude,
seals and the SWAT
literally,
were like
that was the best crossover training I've ever done as a sensor operator was in Houston. That was the best. Because that was the only time that I've ever seen like for real crossover. It was the best.
And why was our hotel so far out of the way, Jeremy? Do you
Dude, I
remember?
don't know. I don't know. But that quinceanera, I'm telling
like,
you.
didn't the SEALs get everybody kicked out for like fighting and something like that? Because
Oh,
I have no idea. I mean, the younger
That was at
guys
the
on
strip
Team
club.
4 were a rowdy bunch. I actually did some work with them again after the fact in Michigan. But yeah, they were that rut. That was a good rut. Everybody,
yeah.
we
Other than
we learned
breaking
a
and
lot about our
messing.
TPPs and our limiting abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
And
was
if
an
you're
awesome one.
maintenance, learned not to go to Indiana Jones 3 times in a row. You
Yeah.
remember? Because we broke like
Yeah.
almost every flight there.
Yes, we
Mhm.
did.
Yeah. And every time they had just started the new Indiana Jones and they have to drive all the way back. And yeah, that was interesting. Then we went to the Astros game, watched them
Yep.
play the Phillies.
Oh, that was fun. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
dude.
super
And,
fun.
I thought it was cool.
And we
as
almost
hell
got kicked out of that too.
Yeah, and they cool. The only tickets available were like expensive, and like so we were sitting there with like the little person that goes and gets your food and stuff. I thought it was good.
I don't know how you
remember,
get kicked out of a baseball game for cheering, but
I don't know.
go figure.
I have
I don't
no
know.
idea.
And we were cheering for the home team too. Come on.
Right. So, what? How to ask it? What do you think? What if anything is lost by the enlisted censor no longer being a part of the complement?
I'll circle
That's
back
easy.
to your last question. Your last question is an easy answer, but
Okay.
the one before that, referencing the time and the people and the mission, I think that it's the human condition to look for purpose in life, and I think we found it there. And I think once you do something like that, you spend the rest of your life seeking that fulfillment, and it's impossible to find.
Yeah.
Our timing was perfect. The place was perfect. The years in that community forged our identities in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I hate to sound hokey about it, but it really does. You can't shake this stink. We are what we are. Trace was talking about our time in AWACS. That was a blur. When I went to Blacksoft, I was hoping for some sort of tighter knit community, and I did not get that.
Yeah.
And I discovered very quickly that the White Soft community is where it's at, because the egos are only bigger in Blacksoft, in my opinion, and the budget. But the White Soft, we had to make do with what we were given, and we made it work, and we were extremely effective. These guys, both on the ground and in the air, they knew what their purpose in life was, and it's hard to mimic that. Everything else has fallen short since then. So,
and I think even more so, it's so centralized to gunships, because leaving gunships and then going to another AFSOC unit, it was night and freaking day. I mean, it was just, I did not enjoy that nearly as much, and I didn't really realize that I would miss gunships as much as I did.
Right.
Being out of there.
Well, this is why you're doing what you're doing. You're basically recording history through the stories.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important. I mean, I think what every single person who ever flew gunships and missions, I think you have to capture it, because like you said at the beginning of this, there's stories out there that we're integral to, and they're not being told from the right lens. And I think my frustration came, which pushed me to do this, from hearing all of these things that I know we were a part of, and they want to give a 5-7 second hit to Spectre was there, Spooky was there, and nothing else about the people that it took to put that $192 million, death machine into effect and be tremendously successful with how they did it. I don't know if people just think it's a drone. I mean, or what? But it was always frustrating. Not because I think any of us are specifically looking for credit, but there are massive chapters in the GWOT story that aren't being told and captured. And they have to, or else, you know, I don't know.
No, it's true. Everything you're saying is true. It's view. I think overall it's viewed as an asset, and they don't really think about the people on board, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'd probably rather have it that way just to keep some sort of anonymity.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
in light of that, you're doing a good thing here, dude.
Yeah,
So-
I appreciate
Because
it.
we
man.
enjoy talking to each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right, and
I
that's
enjoy
what
I
I've
enjoy
found.
talking to you guys. Yeah.
That's one of the things that, you know, I've had so many people tell me, and I didn't realize doing this up front that it would spark something, but bringing the community back together in some capacity more than just being in a Facebook group.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, to be able to it's important for us to remember a lot of these things. You know, as we're all getting older, we're forgetting things, but you have no idea what may be the small insignificant piece of a story that involves you meant to somebody else, and vice versa. And
Yeah.
you know, the sibling rivalry and the fighting that, you know, within crews that took place, and you know, all the bummed cigarettes, and you know, just all of the little pieces that are so important. And I'll be honest, I've worked in big companies and big, you know, lots of moving parts. I've never seen something, as much as I thought it was chaos when we did it. Just, it is such a beautiful symphony of chaos that a gunship crew is able to put together.
It's a Ferrari. And
Yeah.
we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it with one person missing. We would have been done.
Yeah.
Which is a great segue into your next question. You know, you've got 2 weapon system officers on board of J, and they took the enlisted guys out.
Yep.
Fine. As long as they stay and get better. But most of us, we were real combat vets, man. We stayed gone for years. And once you walk away from that, or you have a long space,
Yeah.
you go back into it. You make mistakes because you get jitters, you know.
Yeah.
The,
And once you lose that consistency,
yeah,
once you lose that, it takes a while to get it back.
it
You know?
does.
And now you got officers in that position who are gone for years at a time,
Yep.
and they may never get back in the airplane.
Yeah. Well,
no.
it's not to say that they're not doing a good job. It's not that
No,
at
no.
all. But I can tell you this much: the complement of the crews on the H and the U, we all needed each other to keep ourselves honest. And even
Yeah.
though there may have been some infighting or something, even in critical times,
Yeah.
we were still together. I had people save me from making horrendous mistakes before.
Same. I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
me and Willie fought like cats and dogs on that airplane all the time, but y'all never
That's-
heard it. Like, you should have heard freaking Sensor ISO on that first trip. Man, we were at each other all the time, you know?
I know
We
we got
were
a smoke pit.
100%.
You were so red. You're just,
Because I was so mad the whole time. But when it came down to it, he was the more experienced operator, you know?
Right.
So I would obviously take his advice as much as I hated it. I would take it
Yeah.
because he knew more than I did.
yeah.
So I'd have to defer.
I don't
So-
know about that.
Well,
Well, I mean, you know,
70% of the time. 70% of the time, yeah.
70% of the time he works.
70% of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Or I just tell him to shut up, you know?
Yeah.
Or
That
just
happens.
switch off ISO, and then he'd
I got to
smack
tell a
me and I'd
story on
switch it back
Tracy
on.
since we're on it.
Please.
Okay, so I'm
I'm
the
almost
Outdoors
afraid.
Fires liaison.
We already talked about what you can and can't talk about.
No,
on
we
here.
did.
Okay.
But this is a good one. This
Okay.
is funny. So, I walk into the kitchen. I'm not on a crew this trip. I'm as a fires liaison, just kind of talking to everybody that shows up, making sure they know what they're doing and how to integrate with us. Tracy is in the kitchen, and somebody has stolen her Special K strawberries. And she was so mad. And then across the hall, Eddie Robinson is making Jimmy Christensen furious by beating him at Madden. And they're going back and forth. And Eddie is just, you know, he's so witty. he hurts feelings. The dude can hurt feelings legitimately, and he is raping Jimmy. And I'm standing in the threshold of the doorway. I laugh at Tracy. Tracy screams at me. Jimmy's screaming at Eddie. Everybody's just, there's stuff getting thrown. And Tracy, all she wanted was her Special K strawberries, but somebody took it from her. And she brought them from the chow hall. And there was no making her feel better. She wanted blood. Do you remember that?
That's all I eat. That's all I eat. Taking my only food.
Speaking
depriving
of
me of my nutrients.
I've got.
Wait, let him finish the story because he's gonna lose his track.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, we're waiting on you.
Wait on you.
Tell the story, Jeremy.
That's it. That was the end of the story. I couldn't calm her down. She was mad at me for 3 days.
Yeah.
Never apologized.
Stop laughing at me.
Never apologized.
Why would I apologize?
She still doesn't apologize.
I wasn't wrong.
All right. You were saying something about Eddie.
Yeah. So
why would I apologize? I wasn't wrong. Taking my only nutrients.
I took your advice and I locked Eddie down with Jimmy and John.
Oh my God. Bro.
So please send popcorn. Yep. Oh, I got it. I got my Gunship jalapeno popcorn right here.
Hells yeah.
Oh.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, that I don't know the date, but I literally as we were starting up, they confirmed it. So I've got that coming.
I saw Jimmy a few years ago when I was in Dallas.
Nobody knows how to get under Jimmy's skin. Like that dude brought like 8 PlayStation controllers. Maybe I'm kind of exaggerating.
Oh my God!
But the dude was known.
Those two are the most dramatic divas in the entire world when it comes to freaking PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I still talk to them all the time. I talk to both of them.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And forget poker and flipping that freaking table in blood.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And both of them got Joel worked up all the time too.
Oh God, I imagine. Do y'all remember one of my favorite memories was the nightly P1 Passions request from the EWO to the NAV? It was always Def Leppard photograph.
Yes.
Rich and Flanagan.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
P1 Passions. Can I help you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
And then you had to hold the speaker up against the microphone, and you couldn't move it so everybody could hear. We were sad.
It was good.
Yeah,
we were. But it's the little things like that, you know. If we're droning somewhere, or they've got us holding off 20 miles for noise abatement, you know, and there's nothing going on. Break up the monotony, you know, depending on who's in control that night, but. It was like every night. P1 Passions, it's the NAV.
P1 Passions.
So y'all did. That was my favorite trip. Y'all showed a young airman what it meant to be a good NCO. Y'all saved my ass from a lot of ass chewings. You delivered several of them to me, but it showed me that there is kind of such thing in gunships. You know, there really is of a blind loyalty to your people. As much as you can, like you said, much as we can fight and infight and everything like that, it just doesn't get any better than that. I think anything more than that, you know, you basically have to be married to them.
Right.
And, you know, that happened for a lot of people. So, all right, well, we have like 20 minutes left. I kind of just want to talk about, you know, what we're going to change up a little bit and go, what you're doing now, you know, what your transition has been like, and, you know, any difficulties you've had in that, or what you've decided to go chase, or, you know, build, or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Your post time.
My post time. Tracy, you go first, girl.
Jeff.
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty much everyone knows my story.
Pretty cool though.
So I did contracting for about 3.5 years. Saved up a lot of money. Went to Paris for a year and some change. Did culinary school, pastry chef, baker. Then yeah, opened a food truck. So I've been doing that for almost a year and a half now, doing French pastries and bread and stuff like that. So got my own business, and yeah, I've just been doing that. About the tall and skinny of it. My French sucks now, so haven't really had a lot of people to practice on, but I go back to Paris every year. So I'm actually fixing to go back at the end of the month for a couple weeks, reconnect with some of the other girls that I went to school with, and looking forward to that for sure. Need a vacation.
Was it easier for you to retire and then go into contracting, which, you know, isn't a direct, it's not exactly what you used to do, but it's not, it's,
no,
you're still kind of in the world.
Yeah, for sure. It was super easy, to be honest. It was hard to get used to ISR life, that's for sure. Because everything's slow, right? Like I got told multiple times to slow down, right? Moving my sensor, and I'm like, no, like I'm not slowing down because you can't follow what I'm looking at, you know, like
Right.
that's not gonna happen. Like, especially on night ops, you know. I was like, no, just because you can't follow what I'm looking at doesn't mean I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Was it the ped that was whining?
No, it was my other instructors on the
really?
on the flights. Yeah, because I had like a couple of ground guys.
Okay.
It was one in particular. I won't name him, but like it was one in particular who was like, "You need to slow down. We're gonna knock that gunship sensor out of you." And I was like, "The fuck you are, you know, just because you can't follow what I'm looking at doesn't mean I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm searching for something, you know. Like this isn't an ISR op. This is a night op. So, like, let me just do my thing, you know."
Mm.
But like, it was hard to get used to doing ISR and staying in one spot. Like that was really difficult for me, to be honest. Like day offs was 100% difficult for me to do. Like just strictly staring at a building and not moving. That was so difficult for me. Like took a lot of espresso beans, eating a lot of espresso beans just to stay awake. You know, like that was really difficult. But I mean, there was a lot of good people at L3, you know, like I enjoyed my time there. It was fun, you know. I was so familiar going back to Afghanistan and Iraq, you know, like that stuff was pretty easy, really familiar, you know.
Right.
2 months on and 2 months off. I got stuck there during COVID. I ended up doing like 8 months in Afghanistan that year.
Oh wow.
But I mean, that just really added my bank account to go to Paris all the sooner, you know. So like that really worked out. But
well, you still have yet to send me stuff. I'll give you my address. You send me baked goods,
bro. If I could ship fresh food like that, I would 100% do. Why don't you just come and visit me? Bring Jess and the kids, and
the
like,
plane tickets are so expensive.
Oh my God, kidding. Drive, you hobo.
Okay, you're right. I should drive.
I drove to you. You could come drive to me. Yeah, you did,
but you were visiting your family.
My family is not in West Virginia. I was like en route. I stopped on the way.
Oh, okay. All right, you're forgiven. We had a good night by the fire, hanging out, drinking booze. Man, we wiped out like a full bottle.
Yeah. And I don't even drink anymore. Like, I don't even have time, so.
Yeah, imagine not. Up at 3 every morning. For me.
Try 1. I'm up at 1 o'clock every morning. Yeah.
Sorry about the dogs. Can't hear them.
That's what it is. No.
Talk about you. What are you doing now?
Okay. Well, there's a long story. After I got recruited by SMU, it kind of changed my trajectory a little bit. Anyhow, I retired from all that mess, and within 2 weeks, agency called. I got hired as like a 1099 contractor, and it's a long process, like a year and a half, something like that. And then I took my poly, didn't hear anything back. I was on a good poly, so I figured I was safe. Anyhow, during that time frame, I took an intel job with the FBI. It sucked. It sucked bad. I wouldn't call it intel. But I was doing intelligence work for them and waiting for the agency to get back with me. And a year later, I find out that I failed that poly. weird because I had a poly with the FBI and one with the DoD. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
Are you lying?
I didn't. I got mad. I think that's probably what did it. It was. They're notorious for their polygraphs, and I was warned, and I thought I was a saint, and I was a saint, but I still got mad, so he got under my skin. That's what he wanted to do. And so he won. I lost. Then strolled into cyber with the FBI, did some cyber defense stuff. Then rolled to a contract with the SecDef, Undersecretary of Defense at the time, and was doing kind of like a fixer job for them. So, like, for example, if they want to introduce a capability to the SOF community, they would send me in. I'd grease those tracks, figure out the requirements, find a way to kind of cut through the red tape so we could deliver a capability. And that was basically the end of it. After I got that job was stressful. So I decided that I was going to try to do something more stressful, which was become a doctor. So I lined up everything, kiss so much butt at WVU Med. They're like, hey, you're in as long as you can get over this on your MCAT. And I came up 5 points shy. So I bombed. The only school I was going to apply to, the only school I could apply to, I didn't make it. So that's life, right?
Right.
Since then, just in and out of things, kind of providing consulting work unofficially. Probably not getting paid for it. But that's it, man. I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop. But
Yeah.
if we keep this up, maybe we'll all end up back in the military again and we won't have to do a podcast. Oh, I see you still have a pulse. Come back.
Yeah.
Oh, you're 100% disabled. Not today.
Not today,
Right.
fool.
So, we'll go ahead and kind of close up with the last question I ask everybody. And, we've covered a lot of it, but to you, like, deep in your heart, your soul, what does it mean to have been a part of this legacy? And the most critical points, what does it mean to you?
You go first, Tracy.
Yeah, you go first. I gotta
Okay.
think about it. Yeah.
It is, our mentality is deeply ingrained in my psyche. So trying to function in any other environment has required me to put on a different face. It's not real. My real part, the realest part of me is with you guys. And being part of that, I think, other than being a husband and a dad, is the most important part of my life. And of course, Christian. That's important. That's the most important thing. But
Right.
that goes without saying. But as far as career-wise, I don't think I would have done it any different had I lived 100 lifetimes. I'd still come back every single time.
Yeah. Wow.
I agree with that. I would have done the exact same thing. I would have gone the exact same path. People always ask the question, if you could go back in time, what would you change? I wouldn't change one single thing.
Do it again.
One single thing. I would do everything exactly the same to get exactly where I'm at right now, right? Because everything happens for a reason. There's no way I would change a single thing, because I wouldn't chance not being a part of what we were a part of. Because what we did and the mission we were a part of was just so important. You just don't know. Even as we go through all these stories and we talk about our missions, we laugh and joke, and all the stuff that we did and the jokes we played and stuff like that. But in our most serious times, in the most serious missions that we had, like, you really don't know the impact that you had on people on the ground, their families, you know, and the legacies that we've left behind for the smallest things, you know. Even the missions where we didn't do anything, the missions we didn't shoot, you know, the nights where we did spend 8 hours just watching people sleep, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we have those times where the guys were like, oh, we're not going to do anything because we hear the gunship, you know, oh, you know, we hear them flying overhead, so we're not going to do anything.
People went home because of what we did.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you know, and I'll caveat that with, you know, Jetty said something that was really, really deep and cool. Was a lot of, he said he loves running into people that with their families with them after the fact. And
yeah,
because a lot of times what we did as a crew and what parents did, you know, what someone's mom or dad, what they did, they don't understand the context of like you, Tracy, like there are literally, you know, or both of you, there are literally, you know, horrible, but bodies in the ground because of actions that y'all took.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool as hell. And amongst us, that's a Monday, you know, but to these, a lot of these children or dads and moms of other, being able to tell them like how scary your mother was. There were people that ran from her, you know, how intimidating your father was, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's just, it's an amazing thing to be able to kind of bring a little bit of the curtain back and be able to talk to the families about these types of things, you know, just to remind them that, no, we may not be cool now, but at a certain point in life, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, war is a fickle thing, man. You know, you talked about the bodies in the ground. If you show up to party, expect it.
Yeah.
We're not taking prisoners. And I hope that the next generation of warriors, to include my own son who's hell bent on going to SOF, he wants to go to Ranger Battalion. I'm like, okay, buddy, we'll go to Ranger Battalion. I hope that there's more of us to cover guys like him later on down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so there's an understanding, I think, again, you know, amongst all war fighters that there's no point in being a baby about it and acting like you've been victimized. You signed the dotted line and you fought to be here. And I never met, other than your standard, you know, BS and whining about little stuff, I've never met a gunship guy that ever felt sorry for themselves.
No.
So that's just a testament to our fortitude.
I agree with that.
Yeah, or how great we are with compartmentalization.
That too.
I mean, I'll park this here and we'll get back to it in about 6 years. So
yeah.
If any civilians watch this, they'll be like, wow, they were really nonchalant about what they did.
I loved it. I don't know if y'all listened to the episode with Coop and JJ, but Coop is talking about how I guess headquarters had sent like a psychiatrist or psychologist out to fly with a gunship unit and stay with them. And he says, and he's telling them straight up that hey, we're going to go fly. We're going to do this. And the guy's going to write a thesis on this.
Oh, God.
So they go fly and, you know, he's on gunner ISO. So it is, you already know how bad it is back there.
That's a terrible idea.
And then they land and they go back to the pods and they've, you know, got the Xbox LAN party going on and they're killing each other and they're just talking just the most amazing amount of shit. And then he's like, I'm done. I've already wrote my thesis. And he's like, well, what do you mean? You're not staying? He's supposed to stay for a couple of days. He's like, nope. He's like, well, what's your conclusion? He said that you're all psychopaths. Because you spend all night killing people and then you come back and then you kill people in video game land. And
I went to the CTT ride-in with us, and he told me after a shoot, he was like, that is the calmest, most nonchalance that I ever seen somebody act while actively killing somebody. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Panic? I was like, the entire crew is listening to me. I was like, how my tone is how the rest of the crew is.
Yeah.
I was like, what I say is, and how I speak is how the nav speaks when he goes out of the airplane. I was like, you can't be hysterical. I was like, plus I was coaching.
Taught us in training.
Yeah, and I was coaching a brand new sensor.
Yeah.
And it was her first shoot. I was coaching her through her shoot while I was actively shooting too. I was like, look, dude, I was like, this isn't a game. I was like, you have to be calm.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show, John.
Hi, John.
Hey, thanks. Glad to make it.
So we've kind of been all over the place, and we just finished with the legacy question, but I know that you may have had a few particular questions that you wanted to ask. So if you have anything,
oh boy, do I have?
Feel free.
I have lots of questions. And so if we duplicate something, we'll just cut it out later. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So my first one, I guess, is along those lines, hearing you guys on the tail end there pick up on being calm on that shoot. What was it like on your first shoots? And was that calmness there, or was that something you had to like learn as you went?
And we didn't talk about the calmness on the shoots. We just talked about the first shoots.
Outwardly, my first shoot, outwardly, fine. Internally, I probably had some jitters. To be honest with you, you get to the point where it's like Pelt said, it's another day, right? You're wiping people off the face of the planet. I went to the weapons school, and I was there for a year and a half, and I forget, like, one of the sensors ended up going to a bar and getting his jaw broke or something, and I got the call up at the weapons school, hey, you want to deploy? And I had like 2 days. And I was like, yeah. And so my very last shoot, it was my very last shoot on that trip. I go out, and Tagab Valley was hot. And we lost a 58 in there. And it was just one thing after the other, man. I mean, MARSOC was in there, like 4 or 5 different ODAs were placed, trying to contain this just train wreck. And Eddie, if you ask him about it, he was there. We ripped him out of that orbit, but he was there for it all as it kicked off. I went after 2 dudes with a 40, and my knees were knocking, man, because it had been a year since I'd taken a life. But you get used to it. And if you walk away from it, go back to it, you're just like a normal, sympathetic response to, you get fight or flight. You feel it. Good question. Tracy, cold-blooded, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, no, like my only reaction really is about, I don't know. It's going to sound really bad. It is going to sound pretty cold-blooded. I don't really think about it so much as thinking about where the round's going. Like, yeah. So most of the time after my first, I want to say like my first 2 deployments, I always had somebody new with me. More often than not. So I was always coaching new sensors. So it was more trying to talk them through what was happening and trying to go through that, concentrating on them and myself at the same time, because more often than not, we were, just dual censoring it the whole time. So, and I remember we had a pretty big op one day when we were doing day ops, right? And it was a pretty huge operation. And it was when those guys got what did they get? They got an award for it. When those guys got ambushed on April 9th, April 13th or whatever, 2012. And when we Winchestered the day up. We were out of Kandahar, and they got ambushed, and we ended up shooting for like 2.5 hours straight. And I had a brand new sensor with me, and Nicole, and it was phenomenal. We were doing dual sensor the whole time, and we were just side of the mountain. We had A-10 shooting at the same time, and we were just going one after the other. She was on one mountain, I was on the other, and we were just going back to back. And we got ripped out by Gary Sheridan's crew. Had to land in Bath
I love that chick.
to rearm. She just retired.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just went to her retirement ceremony about a month ago. And we had to rearm at Bath and then rip them back out. But yeah, so it was crazy. Like something like 117, 119 dudes ended up being killed that day. Not our guys, but like theirs. And yeah, it's not something I don't think about the people that we're killing so much as more in line of keep where our guys are at and keeping them safe and making sure that, you know, they're at a safe distance, that, you know, we're not shooting into them. And it's more logistics and tactics at that point. It's just where our rounds hitting. Are we sure they're a safe distance? Are they going to get, you know, any sort of ricochet, any sort of frag, you know, and stuff like that. And it is nerve wracking, and there are nerves involved anytime you shoot, of course, because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to be off on your tweak. You don't want to, you know, and that first shot's always the most nerve wracking, because if your tweak's off just by a little bit or your aim's off just by a little bit, you know, like it transfers to a huge amount on the ground.
Mhm.
You know, little bit in the air is a huge amount on the ground. So you're always kind of nervous about that first shot. But after that, it's, you know, kind of muscle memory at that point, you know, when you adjust your shot and everything like that. I mean, Whitley, you can attest to that. It's all just the flow of it. And it just becomes kind of like a calm that overcomes you. You're just trying to use as little rounds as possible to make the threat stop. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does.
On there for a minute. I'm sorry.
No, in the ramble
He's
is
in
fine.
the zone, Chief.
Uh-huh.
That's what she's telling you.
I
Mhm.
know.
You get in your zen
Yeah.
and you go. I get that.
You do.
It's always been something that I always was curious about, because sitting in the
Yeah.
booth listening and watching you work, I always had that awe of, man, here they are in this really tense situation, and
Yeah.
the calm that you exude on the radio, talking back and forth to the NAVT and the FOCO and conveying the message as you go, that was always really impressive to me. And so I wanted to ask about what that was like in your head, if it was as calm as it came out on the radio, or if it was sometimes there's, you know, you're keeping your, as Jeremy said, your sympathetic nervous system, you know, kind of at bay while you're communicating.
Sometimes, John, that's a multi-pronged question, but I will say this much, and Tracy can attest to this. Day one, dude, we get in the schoolhouse, even while we're in the Sims.
I ain't worried about it. You're good.
You're good.
Even
Yeah,
while
we ain't
they're
worried about it.
Even while they're in the Sims, Mike Lemley, Doug Duryea, all those guys, those blue suiters, they're like,
Yeah.
if you don't keep it together, you're gone. Period.
Yeah.
God. They will can you if
Yeah.
you're excitable. And they've done it before. I guarantee it. Those guys did not take prisoners, and we had that beat into us very, very soon after showing up.
Okay. That's, you know, and that's probably one of my favorite things of doing this podcast is while we go through the schoolhouse together, we don't necessarily, you know, as a whole crew, you don't necessarily get to see all the behind the scenes of all the different positions and how and what is being taught or how it's being taught to you guys. You know, it's the conglomeration of it all coming together as a team. So I appreciate the insight in the backstory on that one. You know, honestly, I wish we would have had more of those types of discussions like almost 20 years ago, so you could understand a little bit more as probably.
Well, that's
for
why
everybody.
they yelled at us so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they yelled and screamed at us so much. Get us used to chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like you weren't allowed to yell and scream back, and you weren't allowed to give attitude back. They yelled and screamed at you all the time, and then you had to be calm in your response back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So along those lines, then let's shift, because now you've got, for those that are listening that don't know gunships, and if they have already explained it, I'll cut this part out. They're the only ones that got a camera, a view outside. I can look down and see something really small and see it like it was you're standing next to it. But they also have to convey that inside plane of what's going on, like talk a picture to life. And you're not only trying to control yourselves, as you were talking about previously there in the last question, but you're also trying to influence not only the fire control officer, and the navigator and the pilot, like all at the same time. And when those three maybe have a difference of opinion or are not quite on the same page, that you guys are kind of like that glue in the middle of it all.
With this. Go ahead and ask.
Yeah, ask it.
And so how does that work? Like, how do you make that work when you know what you're seeing? And
so you have to be direct with everything. So that's when target study, when your map study, when you go over your maps, when you go over your building numbers, when you go over everything, that's when all of that stuff comes into play, right? And you have to be very concise. You have to be direct. You have to be like, no, this is what I'm seeing, like you have to be, look, here's building 12. Here's the squirter on the north side who came from building 12 and he's running east, like you have to be very direct. This is what I'm seeing. This isn't building 8. This is building 8. And you got to walk them through, like if there's ever any doubt. I mean, and Whitley can attest to this. Had it millions of times on millions of missions, where people are like, no, that's not this building. That's not this building. He didn't come from that building. And you're like, yeah, he did, and then you got to roll tapes back, right? That's why it's always important. You got to be recording everything. You got to roll tapes back and you got to be like, okay, well, he came from this freaking building. This is what I'm looking at, because it's very important that you're not targeting the wrong person, that you're not giving misinformation, that everything is as you say it is. And that's why you can't take your eyes off the screen. It's why sensors have to constantly be looking at their screen. You can't be looking off. You can't be goofing off. You can't be looking around or messing around. You have to stay on target. That's why sensors can't be sleeping when you're over target, as people who have been Q3'd for, you can't do stuff like that. You have to be focused and you have to do your job. But you have to be able to confidently say, no, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this building. I'm confident that it is this building. I'm confident he came from this building, and this is what I'm looking at, and this is the direction he's going. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
You have a softer approach than I think I did.
I mean, that's not how I would say it on the airplane, but that's how I would say it here in this podcast.
If there was time, yes, I would explain. But oftentimes there were not. And there's been more than one occasion where I've gone nose to nose with a fire control officer or pilot.
Well, you don't have the luxury.
What's that?
You have the luxury of not being questioned as much as I have been.
That's because I was mean.
No, that's because you have a penis.
No. I don't know about that. But no, I when I would go,
what about not getting questioned because you have one, or if you have one?
I doubt that's the case at all. Because, and I'm not going to drop names. Well, no, I am going to drop names, but I just want to point out that I love these people and I would eat a bullet for any of them. Okay.
I wouldn't do
Alan
that.
Moore used to fight
Alan.
with me. Matter of fact, he met me face to face after a flight. We had to square our business up. That's a big man. He'd probably taken my head off, but I was not going to back down. Megan Ripple, one of the finest pilots the Air Force has ever seen. love to jump at me. She is awesome, and I would die for her. But we fought too. More often than not, she was right. Mark Clausen, great dude. Somehow the dude knew how to find trouble wherever it was at. And he was he had a strong will too. All great people, all powerful personalities. You mix that with other powerful personalities, you're gonna get fireworks. And it happened not just to me.
We're all
but
type
to a
A
lot of
anyway,
people.
so
What's that?
I said we're all type A anyway. So
Yeah,
we're all
to
gonna
some
butt
degree.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just, it's just the game. I mean,
Yeah.
there, especially towards the end of the trips, there was always friction. Nobody ever talked about that in your podcast, did they? The last 30 days of every trip.
Yeah.
That's when the stabbings happened. That's when guys go out and get in fist fights. Like one dude did get
That's because
stabbed.
we're all sick of each other.
Yeah, we
God.
are.
We're all just tired of each other. We're tired of our crap. We're tired of hearing the same stories.
It's
We're
true.
tired of each other's faces. Tired of getting rocks thrown at each other.
Yep. I remember Brandon, what was his last name? Brandon Hughes. I watched him take a frozen bottle of water and sling it through the mission planning room at another guy and miss his head narrowly. It was another EWO, and it stuck in the wall. And I turned around to one of the other dudes. I'm like, hey man, you need to go talk him down a little bit because he's losing it. True story.
You know, I think that's
was it you that he threw that at?
It might have been. I mean,
yeah.
Brandon and I. I love Brandon. Brandon is an amazing dude, and we've had a lot of fun over the years. He has a strong personality, as you said.
Yeah,
he has a strong personality.
Everybody has
He's got a strong water
personality.
bottle.
You can't be in gunships without having a strong personality. I mean, come on.
That's true.
If you do, you don't last long.
Yep.
Tracy, didn't you have a story you wanted to talk
I don't
about?
want to tell what John's here because then he's going to get mad at me.
Not told him all. Everything's fair and game for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember, John, the Cinnabon incident in Iraq?
Cinnabon. I don't know if
Because
I do.
this is a great. Let me paint a picture for you.
What story did I forget?
Iraq 2009.
Mm-hmm.
We were the hate crew.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you were there. I don't know if you were on our crew or not. I can't remember.
I wasn't.
Okay. So I was actually just telling the story because it was at McGorn's retirement and Dempsey was there and it was his first trip. And weirdly enough, it was my third trip and I was the most experienced person in the booth, which was quite funny. And the Greek had taken over halfway through for McGorn. And we were in the AFAC and we were waiting to fly. And we just got done briefing. And we were known as the hate crew because we were brutal to each other. Like, it was no holds bar on this crew. We were the meanest crew because we were just, I don't know, we were just mean as hell to each other for no fucking reason. We were just ripping into each other the whole time. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Is it ringing a bell now?
Yes.
Okay. And it wasn't, I mean, we weren't really that malicious about it, but we were just ragging on each other the whole trip, and it was hilarious. Like, to the point where Dempsey made this hate spiral patch and gave it to me. And it was huge. It was like this big, and I wore it every day, and it was hilarious. And I had a brand new sensor with me, and Dempsey was new, and we had a FOCO. It was his second trip, and John, I think it was your second trip.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we had a pretty green gun deck, I think, with only like two experienced guys. And like, we were in the AFAC. We were sitting there, we were waiting to go fly. We just got done briefing. And the chaplain had walked in and she had a box of Cinnabon. She just got back from Baghdad. She had a box of Cinnabon. And it was like just 4 Cinnabon. You know how big the Cinnabons are, right?
Mm-hmm.
She just had a box of 4 and she had brought it in. And She was so chipper. You know how chaplains are. She is so chipper. She walks in, she's all happy and everything. And we're all just sitting there staring at her. Like, who are you to bring this happiness into this AFAC, right? And we're all just sitting there staring at her as she walks in, not saying anything, just looking at her. Brings this huge box in, sits it down, chatting happily, you know, with the planners and everything. And we're all just looking at her. And then we all turn. We're in these stupid swivel chairs in the middle of this big AFAC staring at each other. And we're just waiting for the first one to crack. Not doing anything. We're all just sitting there looking at each other, just looking around. And John's the first one to crack. And the gun deck had been brutal to him this whole trip. For whatever reason, they had been ragging on him the most. I don't know why. John is the first one to stand up. And he's like, fuck it. And we just wait. Everybody is silent. We're just anticipating what's going to happen. And everybody kind of sits up in their chair a little bit. John walks over. And he grabs the Cinnabon in his hand, and he's just holding it. Doesn't even take a bite. Doesn't do anything. Just holds it. Everybody explodes. And they're like, oh, come on, fatty. And just, like, he's not even fat, like, at all, right? And everyone's like, oh, come on, fatty. You're going to eat that? You gonna eat that big fat pill? And everybody just starts ragging on him left and right? Like 14 of us just freaking attacking John for no reason, right? Most hilarious thing that's ever happened. And John gets so mad. So mad. What does he do? Does he put it down? No. He marches over to the door. John, you got so mad. And it was hilarious, and I'm sorry. But it was the funniest thing that happened this whole trip. And it is the best story ever. He throws the Cinnabon that hasn't even been touched. It's still just in his hand. He throws it in the trash. And then storms out of the AFAC and slams the door. And he's like, I fucking hate you guys. And then walks off. We didn't see him until we had to fly.
I honestly
I don't even know where he went.
I had forgotten that story until you said the chaplain came in with Cinnabon, and then it all clicked.
You probably
together.
blocked it out because, like, we didn't see you until we had to fly like an hour later. Like, somebody had to come and get you, and it was literally the funniest thing that had ever happened. It was gold.
The stupidity of youth. I mean, a way better answer for that today would have been like, hell yeah, I'm gonna eat that. And none of you are going to get any of it. There's only 4 of these.
You should have just taken a big bite.
You should have taken all 4 of her, taken a bite out of it.
You should have taken the whole box and walked out. Like, that would have been hilarious. Oh, God, that was great.
Getting older and having more.
I think that's that same trip that Belden was talking. That was the same trip that Belden was talking about where that Dizzo shot the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his sidearm.
Yeah, because
it wasn't our plane, but yeah.
I was over there as the bastard crew because J Dipper left us like 2 days before we were supposed to deploy. So we had constant rotating ACs.
Yeah.
With Kerry Sheridan's first trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your wife was there.
Jeremy, you were on it.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. But you know what? We weren't the worst crew. There was a certain crew.
Yep. He kept drawing hogs on his name.
Yeah. It was the worst crew. But as a matter of fact, during that same trip, Ripple screamed at me because she thought I launched the tanker when in fact it was this other guy. So he could get his fixed shooting in. Yeah, fixed shooting is a perishable skill. Yes, I gotta get my fixed shooting. Launch the tanker, Whitley.
Y'all got him on DVR that night, one of those nights too, saying it, and then Thorpe cut it out and then was using it in intel briefings when you got him to say the Shrek quote.
Yep, he's a flying talking donkey. Oh my gosh, he owned it because he sounded just like him. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that they made so patches up over that one.
Yeah. We got any other questions, John?
Oh shit!
Specific, any prime ones you want to get to before we close this one out?
Boy, I mean, we could.
If not, we can pick up a different one.
Oh no, I've got tons and tons of questions that I could ask, especially of these two. But
we'll have to be a part 2.
Well, no, I mean these are all great questions because I mean that's the best that's the second best part of doing this show is the ability to pick true experts in their fields, like what their brains tell us what you think your thoughts are, especially 20 years down the road or almost 20 years down the road to go, all right, now what do you think about this? Or what was your thought back? So we answered two of the biggest ones that I've always had. And what I want to be able to tell the audience is, even if we're arguing about something, and whether it's not just about Cinnabons, back into the real answer of like target identification or the story that is developing on the ground, that cognitive somebody always playing the devil's advocate is generally a pretty good thing. And the ability for the discussion, and this is, I'm leading into the question, to come to an agreement one way or the other what the right answer is or what we should be doing at any given time. I'd said aircraft commander, fire control officer, and the navigator. You're the only enlisted one in that conversation. And we've had the talks before on no rank in the aircraft, but did that ever come into play, and how did you resolve it?
There's a final line that's drawn, dude. Foco's got the BMC. Pilot has the aircraft. I mean, I've been overturned before.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really a rank issue, it's a crew position issue.
Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe I should clarify that one. Like, so as everybody has a different opinion, like one way or the other. Some crew positions are strong in their ability to resolve conflict, and by crew position I mean people in those crew positions, and then some lack that. And as you said, Foco's got the booth. So if you have a Foco who may have less than stellar conflict resolution skills, you're kind of the next one in line in terms of, from my perspective, when I watched from the back, it always seemed like you, as the sensor operators, were the ones that could turn the tide of the conversation to at least come to a resolution.
Yeah, especially if you have like a brand new Foco who hasn't been tested yet, you know. Really depends on what theater you're into, like especially in Afghanistan, if they're maybe a little bit hesitant about calling something what it is, if they're not confident enough in their ability, kind of, I'm not going to say have to nudge them along, but that's also where the Foco nav pairing becomes super important. You have to have a very strong navigator matched with maybe a brand new Foco and a very experienced pilot. If you get a new AC upgrade, who's, I don't know, maybe a little bit more arrogant, who's trying to like prove themselves, and there's a few of those, not a lot in gunships, because that's not really how gunship pilots are when it comes down to it. There are a few, but not a lot. But mostly having a very strong nav with a brand new Foco is how they try to pair them up. But yeah, when you have a kind of a brand new Foco, having a really strong sensor pairing that helps a lot, helps the guidance. But if you get one that's like an older Foco who maybe is a little set in their ways, doesn't listen so well, then it doesn't matter because they won't listen anyway.
Okay.
Regardless.
Those are my big ones that I had. And I think my takeaway that for gunship crews or people looking back in time to look at this, the amount of thought and care that went into picking crews based on all of those elements to go, hey, look.
Well, I think the schedulers really, and like the functionals are where that came into play. Like the crew position functionals, they really tried to look at the crews and pair everybody. Because I did that for a while too as a sensor functional, try to pair the crews up in accordance with experience and stuff like that.
That we weren't all just a bunch of numbers that could be plug and played, that there was
optimal, no, you definitely
like,
had to go on
who
experience.
would be good to pair with so-and-so, to pair with so-and-so, to pair with so-and-so.
And all the functionals would get together as well during, all the monthly meetings and stuff like that, like during commanders calls and stuff like that, after, commander briefings or whatever. All the functionals will get together and go over the crews for, the next couple of rotations or whatever, and discuss the crew composition, who was going, who was being paired with who was new, who was the senior E, who was the aircraft commander, all that stuff, who's the lead gun, all that stuff would be gone over in those meetings between the functionals, and it would be talked about, and experience would be talked about, definitely, and especially if there were problems, because the functionals knew that too, like if there were personality issues, like who was sleeping with whose wife, and all that stuff too. Like if that came up a couple times, can't not have that, in a squadron as big as ours was. So yeah, it didn't come up often, but it did come up a couple times.
Cool. I'm done. I'll bow out, Luke. You're good.
No worries, man. All right. Well, does anybody have any parting thoughts before we close it up? I appreciate y'all taking time and strolling down Nightmare Memory Alley sometimes.
Best job I ever had.
Yeah. Best people I've ever known.
Yep. Hands down.
So, well, cool. Hey, I'm just I'm putting this out there because I keep forgetting to mention it, but I am trying to create a central repository to capture like photos from gunships. Anybody has. So anybody out there listening, if you have them, I'm trying to make a coffee table book to make it available to the community. But so we all have them. Double D's already started sending me a bunch of pictures. And just email that to deathonecallpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll go from there. Nice. But I appreciate everybody's time, and other than that, that's all I've got. So this has been episode 6 of Death on Call, Sensors Tracking, and with Master Sergeant retired Tracy, Reusch, and Master Sergeant retired Jeremy T.F. Whitley, and our lovable EWO, John Shipley. Thanks, everybody. You're cleared off.
Spin it up. Eyes on. You know what you are, circling the black. I'm the quiet star. You ride straight line, I draw halos wide. You drop and you're gone, I stay on your side. I see the whole map like a grain of sand. You brag about speed, I'm the steady hand. I'm a gunship guy, you know what you are. You call my name when it's way too far. You flex your wings, I hold the sky. Cooler under fire, don't even try. I'm a gunship guy, king of the night. You talk big talk, I turn the tide. You punch and run, I stay and mark. I'm the calm, clear voice in the dark. You chase the sunshine, I hunt in the smoke. You count your minutes, I count every spoke. You snapshot targets, I write their fate. You land, go home, I'm still on station late. Hey, you love your selfies from the perfect cloud. I deal in whispers that never get loud. I'm a gunship guy, you know what you are. You call my name when it's way too far. You flex your wings, I hold the sky. Cooler under fire, I don't even try. I'm a gunship guy, king of the night. You talk big talk, I turn the tide. You punch and run, I stay and mark. I'm the calm, clear voice in the dark. Who do they call when the line runs thin? Who do they trust when they need to win? You had your run, now watch and learn. I trace slow circles, make the whole world turn. I'm a gunship